Welcome back, students. In the last lecture, we have learned how to calculate the density of a unit cell. We have also done various type of packing in solids and also their coordination number. We have also learned how to calculate the packing efficiency in different type of crystal lattice. Today we will conclude this chapter. In this chapter, we will learn the various type of defects in crystalline solids, their electrical conductivities and magnetic properties. Let's get started with the topic. Now, let us study the crystal defects or imperfection in solids. The name itself suggests that there is a defect in the normal crystal structure. Now, crystal defect is the imperfection in the regular geometrical arrangement of the atoms in a crystalline solids. Now, in real, naturally occurring crystal substances, they do not have a perfect crystal structures. They have some disorders or irregularities in the stacking of atoms. Such irregularities in the arrangement of the constituent particles of a solid crystals are called as defects or imperfection, as you can see in the slide. Now, this imperfection may be caused due to the process of crystallization. The imperfection are more if the crystallization occurs in a faster rate. So, it can be minimized, the defect can be minimized if the crystallization is carried out at a slower rate. In fact, ideal crystals with no imperfections are possible only at the absolute zero of temperature, that is 0 Kelvin. Above this temperature, no crystalline materials are 100% pure. They contain defect. It is interesting to note that whatever the nature of crystal defect may be, the electrical neutrality of the solid is maintained. यहाँ और एक बात है कि यहाँ पे जब भी क्रिस्टल डिफेक्ट्स कभी कभी इंटेंशनली भी क्रिएट किया जाता है टू गेट द डिसायर्ड प्रॉपर्टीज इन द क्रिस्टलाइन सॉलिड्स. Crystalline solids are formed by the regular repetition of large number of unit cells in all directions. A perfect crystal is formed by precise arrangement of atoms, ions or molecules to give a specific geometric structure. Now we know how the bases are arranged on the lattice points to form a crystal lattice, as you can see in the figure. In this figure, you can see the lattice points and how the bases are arranged to form a crystal. There are three types of defects. Number one, that is the point defects. If you see in the figure, in the lattice point, atoms, ions or molecules are arranged. If there is a defect in this type of arrangement, then that defect will be called as the point defect. The second type of defect is the line defect. If there is a irregularity in the whole line or row in the crystal, then that type of defect is known as line defect. And third type of defect is the plane defect. If there is a defect in the whole crystal or on the surface of the whole crystal, then such type of defect is known as the plane defect. So basically there are three types of defects. Number one, that is the point defect, that is due to the irregularity in the lattice sites and arrangement of bases. Second is the line defect, there is a defect in the whole line or row. And the third type of defect, if the defect exists in the whole crystal, then that will be known as the plane defect. In this chapter, we will be concentrating only on the point defects. Point defects. This type of defect arises due to the defect in the arrangement of atoms or ions on the lattice point in the crystalline solids. There are three major classes of point defects, that is impurity defect, stoichiometry defect and non-stoichiometry defect. Impurity defect arises when the foreign atoms, that is atom different from the host atoms, are in the crystal lattice. This is further divided into two types: substitutional impurity defect and interstitial impurity defect. The second type of defect is the stoichiometric defect. In this, stoichiometry remains unchanged. In other words, the cations and anions of the atoms or the number of cations and anions of the compound remains the same as represented in the chemical formula. यहाँ पर chemical composition change नहीं होता है. This may be further classified into four types, that is Schottky defect, Frenkel defect, vacancy defect and interstitial defect. Here Schottky defect and Frenkel defect takes place in ionic solids and vacancy defect and interstitial defect take place in non-ionic solids. The third type of defect is the non-stoichiometric defect. This defect arises when ratio of number of atoms of one kind to that of the other kind becomes different. That means the composition of the compound changes. It further divided into two types, that is the metal excess defect. That means here the metal atoms or cations are in excess, and the second type is metal deficiency defect. That means there is a deficiency in the cation. This all we will be studying in detail. Let us start with the stoichiometric point defects. Chemical formula of a compound shows a fixed ratio of number of atoms or number of cations and anions. ये हमको पता है, इसी को हम लोग stoichiometry बोलते हैं. In stoichiometric defect, the ratio of number of atoms and the number of cations of a compound remains the same and they are represented by the chemical formula. तो ये जब stoichiometric point defect में पूरे इसमें केमिकल कॉम्पोजिशन सेम रहता है, उस पर कोई इफेक्ट नहीं होता है. तो बेसिकली स्टोइकोमेट्रिक पॉइंट डिफेक्ट फोर टाइप्स के होते हैं, दैट इज द वैकेंसी डिफेक्ट, सेल्फ इंटरस्टिशियल डिफेक्ट, शॉटकी डिफेक्ट एंड फ्रेंकल डिफेक्ट. नाउ लेट अस स्टार्ट विद द वैकेंसी डिफेक्ट. नाउ वैकेंसी डिफेक्ट. During the crystallization of a solid, a particle is missing from its regular site in a crystal lattice. This missing particle creates a vacancy in the lattice structure. Thus, some of the lattice sites are vacant because of these missing particles. Look at this figure. In the first one, this is a normal crystal having all the particles at the position. If some of the particles are removed, a vacant space is created, as you can see in the figure 2. Then the crystal is said to have a vacancy defect. The vacancy defect can also be developed when the substance is heated. Now, in the regular crystals, the atoms or the particles are regularly arranged. In the second one, if you can see, due to the absence of the particles, the mass of the substance will decrease. However, the volume will remain unchanged. As a result, the density of the substance will also decrease in case of vacancy defect. Second type of stoichiometric point defect is the self-interstitial defect. As we have discussed, these interstitial sites in a crystal are the space or voids in between the particles at the lattice points. When some particles of a crystalline solid occupies the interstitial sites in the crystal structure, it is called as interstitial defect. As you can see in the figure, there may be two types of interstitial defect. In the first type, you can see an extra particle occupies an empty interstitial space in the crystal structure. This extra particle is same as those already present in the lattice point. मतलब सेम ही तरह का एटम्स या पार्टिकल्स होगा जो क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर में प्रेजेंट है. द एक्स्ट्रा पार्टिकल इंक्रीजेज द टोटल मास ऑफ द सब्सटेंस. क्योंकि ये पार्टिकल क्रिस्टल के बाहर से आके उधर पे अटैच्ड है, इसीलिए मास ऑफ द सब्सटेंस इस केस में बढ़ेगा विदाउट इंक्रीजिंग द वॉल्यूम. हेंस द डेंसिटी ऑल्सो इंक्रीजेस. In a second way, in an elemental solid, a particle gets shifted from its original lattice point and occupies an interstitial space in the crystal. आप ऐसे फिगर में देख सकते हैं, यहाँ पे जो लैटिस साइड्स है वहाँ से पार्टिकल निकल के बीच में कहीं इंटरस्टिशियल साइड्स पे आके स्पेस ऑक्यूपाई कर लेता है. Now here it is interesting to note that in the second case, because of the displacement of the particle, a vacancy defect is created at its original lattice point. जहाँ से वो particle निकला है वहाँ पे एक vacancy create हो जाता है. At the same time, the interstitial defect results at its new position. वहाँ से पार्टिकल निकल के इंटरस्टिशियल साइट पे आ जाता है, तो वहाँ पे इंटरस्टिशियल डिफेक्ट होता है. Therefore, we see that in this defect there is a combination of vacancy defect and the self-interstitial defect. This defect preserves the density of the substance because there is neither loss nor gain of the mass in the substance. वहाँ क्रिस्टल के अंदर से ही पार्टिकल निकलता है और इंटरस्टिशियल स्पेस ऑक्यूपाई करता है, इसीलिए यहाँ का क्रिस्टल का मास यहाँ पे चेंज नहीं होता है. The third type of stoichiometric point defect is the Schottky defect. It is one of the important defect. Many times short notes are asked on this. Now, in this type of defect, it is like a vacancy defect. In this, equal number of cations and anions is missing from the lattice point. Here, equal number of cations and anion is removed by any means from the crystal lattice. Now look at the figure. It is an ionic solid. Here the equal number of cations and anions are missing from their regular positions in the crystal lattice. This creates a vacancies. It means that a vacancy created by the loss of cation is always accompanied by the vacancy found by the loss of anion. मतलब एक cation निकलेगा तो साथ में हमेशा एक anion भी निकलेगा. Thus there exists two holes per ion pair. एक जोड़ी निकला तो दो वैकेंसी क्रिएट होगा, ऐसे सेकेंड पेयर निकलेगा तो 4 वैकेंसीज क्रिएट होगा. Such pair cation and anion vacancy is called as the Schottky defect. Conditions for the formation of Schottky defect. Schottky defect is found in ionic compounds. So it should have the following characteristic. It should have the high degree of ionic character. Secondly, it should have the high coordination number of anion. You know the coordination number is the number of ions that is surrounding the central ion. Thirdly, it should have the comparable size of cation and anion. The size of the cation and anion should be almost equal. As you know, in the ionic crystals, ions have the capability to leave their assigned position. So obviously, crystal should be ionic in character. Secondly, highly coordinated compounds, the size ratio of cation and anion is almost equal. For equal in size, which provides the flexibility for such a displacement, because when an anion leaves, cation also has to leave simultaneously to maintain the neutrality of the crystal. Now the consequence of Schottky defect. As the number of ion decreases, the mass will also decrease. However, the volume will remain unchanged. Hence, the density of the substance decreases. The number of missing cation and anion is equal, so the electrical neutrality of the compound is preserved. Some of the examples of ionic crystals are NaCl, AgBr, and KCl. Now, the fourth type of stoichiometric point defect is the Frenkel defect. In this defect, an ion of an ionic compound is missing from its regular lattice site and occupies the interstitial position between the lattice point, as you can see in the figure. In this, the cations are usually smaller than anion. It is therefore more common to find that cation occupies the interstitial sites. It is easier for the smaller cation to accommodate the interstitial sites. It is important to note that the smaller cation is displayed from its normal site to an interstitial site. It is therefore creates a vacancy defect at its original position and interstitial defect at its new location in the crystal. Frenkel defect can be regarded as the combination of the vacancy defect and the interstitial defect. Conditions for the formation of Frenkel defect. Frenkel defect occurs in the ionic compounds with the larger difference between the size of the cation and the anion. Here cation should be smaller so that it can occupy the interstitial sites. The ions of the ionic compounds must have the low coordination number. As the cation are smaller in size, so here the coordination number will be low. If you observe, it is totally different from that of the Schottky defect. Now, consequence of Frenkel defect. As the number of ions are missing from the crystal lattice as a whole, the density of the solid and its chemical properties remains unchanged. The crystal as a whole remains electrically neutral because there is an equal number of cations and anions. वहाँ cation लैटिस पॉइंट से छोड़ के इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशन पे ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है, तो यहाँ पे नंबर ऑफ जो आयंस है वो वैरी नहीं करेंगे. दिस डिफेक्ट इज फाउंड इन आयोनिक क्रिस्टल्स लाइक जिंक सल्फाइड, AgCl, AgBr, AgI and calcium fluoride. Here interesting to note that this AgBr is common in Schottky and Frenkel defect. That means in AgBr, Schottky defect and Frenkel defect both takes place. The second major class of defect is the impurity defect. The name itself suggests that the impurity defect arises when foreign atoms, that is the atoms from the different host atoms, are present in the crystal lattice. मतलब जो ओरिजिनल क्रिस्टल लैटिस में जो एटम्स होगा उसके अलावा बाहर से यदि कोई टाइप का एटम्स आके वहाँ पे अटैच होता है या वहाँ पे लैटिस साइट या इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशन को ऑक्यूपाई करता है तो उसको हम इम्प्योरिटी डिफेक्ट बोलते हैं. देयर आर टू काइंड्स ऑफ इम्प्योरिटी डिफेक्ट. दैट इज द सब्स्टिट्यूशनल इम्प्योरिटी डिफेक्ट. द नेम इटसेल्फ सजेस्ट सब्स्टिट्यूशन मतलब पैरेंट वहाँ पे जो भी एटम है उसके अलावा दूसरा कोई एटम वहाँ पे उसकी जगह ऑक्यूपाई करता है. और इंटरस्टिशियल सेकेंड इज द इंटरस्टिशियल इम्प्योरिटी डिफेक्ट. इंटरस्टिशियल मीन्स वहाँ पे इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशन पे वो फॉरेन एटम आके प्लेस ऑक्यूपाई करता है. सो देर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ impurity defect, that is the substitutional impurity defect and the interstitial impurity defect. Substitutional impurity defect. In this defect, the foreign atoms are found at the lattice sites in place of the host atom. The regular atoms are displaced from their lattice site by the impurity atom. This can be done by replacing the atoms or the ions. Let's see how. In the first case, let us take an example of solid solution of metal. The alloys are prepared by this method. Let us take an example of brass. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. In brass, host copper atoms are replaced by the impurity of zinc atom. The zinc atom occupies the regular sites of the copper atom as you can see in the figure. In the second case, vacancies are created by the addition of impurities of allovalent ions. What are allovalent ions? That is the ions with the oxidation state different from that of the host ion. Let us take an example of sodium chloride. Suppose a small amount of strontium chloride or also called as strontium chloride impurity is added to sodium chloride during the crystallization process. The added strontium ions, that is oxidation state of strontium here is +2, occupies some regular sites of sodium host ion. That is the oxidation state of sodium is +1. Now, in order to maintain the electrical neutrality, every strontium ion removes 2 sodium ions. As you can see in the figure, one of the vacant lattice sites created by the removal of 2 sodium ion is occupied by 1 strontium ion. Here 2 sodium ions are removed. At one place strontium ion occupies the place and second goes vacant. So the other site of sodium ion remains vacant. So this creates a vacancy defect. Occupies the interstitial spaces of the lattice structure, as you can see in the figure. Let us take an example of steel. Here, Fe atom occupies the normal lattice sites. The carbon atom are present at the interstitial spaces as shown in the figure. The third type of defect is the non-stoichiometric defects. In non-stoichiometric defect, the ratio of number of atoms of one kind to that of the other kind or the ratio of number of cations to anions becomes different from that as indicated by its chemical formula. In short, stoichiometry of the compound is changed. It is important to note that the change in the stoichiometry does not cause any change in the crystal structure. There are two types of non-stoichiometric defects, that is metal deficiency defect and metal excess defect. Metal deficiency defect. In some crystals, positive metal ions are missing from their original lattice sites. The extra negative charge is balanced by the presence of cation of the same metal with a higher oxidation state than that of the missing cation. Here one thing is important. This type of defect is possible only in the compounds of metals that shows variable oxidation states as nickel, iron, etc. Let us try to understand this with an example of nickel oxide. Under normal condition, in nickel oxide, nickel has +2 charge and oxygen has -2 charge. So the ratio here is equal. If somehow nickel +3 ion is added to this crystal, then charges will not be satisfied because there will be the difference of +1 charge. So here 3 nickel 2 plus ion is removed, so the 3 vacant sites are formed. Now here 2 vacant sites will be occupied by nickel 3 plus ion and one site will still remain vacant. Thus this will create a defect. Here composition of nickel oxide also changes. So this is an non-stoichiometric defect. Metal excess defect. In this type of defect, the cations will be in excess. This can be done in two ways. First, by adding the cation to the interstitial sites, and second way is by removing the anions from the crystal so that the cations will increase automatically. Now, let us take an example of zinc oxide. Here, a neutral atom or an extra positive ion occupies the interstitial positions. This can be done in two ways. In the first case, zinc oxide lattice, one neutral zinc atom is present in the interstitial space, as you can see in the figure. In the second case, when zinc oxide is heated, it decomposes to give zinc cation, half oxygen and 2 electrons are released in this process. This excess of zinc ions are trapped in the interstitial sites in the lattice. The electron also diffuses in the crystal to occupy the interstitial sites, as you can see in the figure. यहाँ पे जिंक आयंस जो है वो इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशन ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है, साथ में जो 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं वो भी इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशंस यहाँ पे ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है. इन बोथ द केसेस जहाँ पे मेटल एटम इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशंस ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है और दूसरा केस जहाँ पे आयंस इंटरस्टिशियल पोजीशन ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है, दोनों ही केस में केमिकल कॉम्पोजिशन चेंज हो जाएंगे. यहाँ नंबर ऑफ जो जिंक आयंस है वो इंक्रीज हो जाएगा, इसीलिए इसको हम लोग मेटल एक्सेस डिफेक्ट कहते हैं. नाउ वन क्वेश्चन इज गिवन, कैन यू थिंक व्हेन जिंक ऑक्साइड इज हीटेड इट टर्न्स येलो एंड रिटर्न बैक्स टू ओरिजिनल वाइट कलर ऑन कूलिंग. व्हाट कुड बी द रीजन? दिस इज गिवन इन योर टेक्स्ट बुक. व्हाट विल बी द आंसर नाउ? हियर, when zinc oxide is heated, it loses oxygen, as you can see in the reaction. Here, zinc ions are entrapped in the interstitial sites and electrons in the interstitial sites to maintain the electrical neutrality. This gives rise to the metal defect. Now, due to the presence of electrons in the interstitial sites, the color is yellow. As The remaining color of the white lights are absorbed by these electrons. It turns white on cooling. Why? Because it absorbs oxygen from the surrounding and again the zinc oxide is formed. तो यहाँ पर जो एक्सेस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स प्रेजेंट हैं साइड्स पे, दिस गिव्स द कलर टू द क्रिस्टल and also the oxygen that is removed on heating and again added on cooling. Anions are removed or by creating anion vacancies. This we can understand with the example of sodium chloride. When sodium chloride is heated in the atmosphere of sodium vapors, sodium atoms are deposited on the crystal surface. Here, chloride ion diffuses to the crystal surface, creating vacancies at their regular sites. This chloride ions combines with the sodium atoms on the surface to form sodium chloride by releasing electron from the sodium atom, as you can see here. Here one electron is generated from each sodium atom. This electron released diffuses into the crystal and occupies the vacant site of anions as shown in the figure. This anion vacant sites occupied by the electron are called as F centers or color centers. This F center, it is derived from the German word that means Farbzentrum. Farb means here color and centrum means center. Like this, the sodium chloride shows yellow color due to the formation of this F center. The crystal of sodium, in the crystal of sodium chloride, sodium is in excess. So here the chemical composition changes. Here there is an excess of sodium atom. Now we have completed the various type of defects in solids. I will suggest you to make one chart. In that, in the first column you write the types of defects, in the second you write definition, and in the third you write the density and mass, and in the last column draw the structure. If you make a chart like that, it will be easy for you to summarize the things. Now let us start with the another important property of solids, that is the electrical properties of solids. Now what is electrical conductivity? Any substance which allows the flow of current or the flow of electrons, that decides the electrical conductivity. Now based on that, solid shows a very wide range of electrical conductivity. According to that, solids are classified into following three categories. Number one, that is the conductors. Now, what are conductors? Any substance which allows the flow of current or electrons through it are called as conductors. Solids having electrical conductivity ranging from 10 raised to power 4 to 10 raised to power 7 per ohm meter are called as conductors. Metals and electrolytes are the best examples of electrical conductors. Metals conduct electricity by the movement of electrons, as we have studied earlier, while electrolytes conduct electricity by the movement of ions. The second type of solids are the insulators. Here, these substances do not allow the electrons to flow through it. These solids having low electrical conductivities, and they range from 10 raised to power minus 20 to 10 raised to power minus 10 per ohm meter. Most of the non-metals and molecular solids belong to this category. The third important type of solids is the semiconductor, and it is very important. Solids having electrical conductivities in the ranging from 10 raised to power minus 6 to 10 raised to power 4 per ohm meter are semiconductors. Their conductivity is between the conductors and insulators. Now, metalloids like silicon, germanium belongs to this category. So, these are the three type of solids based on electrical conductivity. Electrical conductivities of solid metals and non-metals and metalloids can be explained in terms of band theory. The band formation can be correlated to the formation of molecular orbitals by the interaction of the atomic orbitals. Now, as you can see in the figure, we know that atomic orbitals of the atoms in the crystal combines to form molecular orbital, which are spread over the complete crystal structure. With the increase in the number of atoms participating in the crystal formation, number of molecular orbitals containing electron is greatly increased. As the number of molecular orbital increases, the energy difference between the adjacent orbitals, that is the energy level, decreases until finally the energy gaps becomes very small and a molecular discrete energy level merges into one another to form continuous band of molecular orbitals which extends over the entire crystal. Each atomic orbitals of the crystal corresponds to one energy level in the band which contains two electrons. The electrons in the higher energy level of the band are free and mobile and are responsible for the electrical conductivity. Band theory considers the formation of two types of bands, namely conduction band and valence band. And one more important concept of band theory is the band gap. Now let us try to understand this. A conduction band, the highest energy band containing electrons, is the conduction band. It is formed by the interaction of the outermost energy levels of the closely spaced atoms in the solid. Conduction band may be partially occupied or vacant. Electrons in the conduction band are mobile and delocalized over the solid. This conducts electricity when electrical potential is applied. The second is the valence band. The band having lower energy than conduction band is the valence band. The electrons in the valence band are not free to move because they are tightly bound to the respective nuclei. Now the band gap, this is most important. The energy difference between the valence band and conduction band is called the band gap, as you can see in the figure. The size of the band gap decides whether electron from the valence band can be promoted to the vacant conduction band or not. When the band gap is too large to promote the electrons from the valence band to vacant conduction band by thermal energy, so it is called as forbidden zone. When band gap is small, electrons from the higher energy level in valence band can be promoted to the conduction band by the absorption of energy. It may be thermal or electromagnetic. These electrical properties of the metallic conductors, insulators and semiconductors we can discuss here. Now, metals are the good conductors of electricity. The outermost electrons of all the atoms in metallic crystals occupy the conduction band. The number of electrons in conduction bands of metal is large. Hence, metals are good conductor of electricity. Now, in the band formation in metallic conductors results from the delocalization of the outermost electrons of all the metal atoms, leaving behind metal cation. If you remember, in earlier lecture I have explained the metallic solids. In that I have explained this process in detail. Now this cation of metals are immersed in the sea of electrons. The cation of metal atom occupying the lattice sites vibrates about their mean position. At higher temperature, metal cation undergoes increased vibrational motions about their lattice sites. The flow of electron is interrupted by the increased vibrational motion. As a result, conductivity of metal decreases with the increase in temperature. Now, this is very important is that in metals, the conductivity decreases with the increase in the temperature. Insulators are bad conductors of electricity. In insulators, the valence band is completely filled with the electrons and the conduction band is empty. The valence band and conduction band in insulators are separated by large energy gap called as forbidden zone, as you can see in the figure. Here, thermal energy is insufficient to promote the electrons from the valence bond to the conduction band. As a result, the conduction band remains vacant. The material is therefore an insulator. As we know, electrical conductivity of semiconductor material is intermediate between that of metals and insulators. The metalloids like silicon and germanium are the semiconductors. Like insulators, the valence band in semiconductor is completely filled with the electrons and conduction band is empty, as you can see in the first figure. However, the energy gap between the two bands is smaller than that in an insulator. At a temperature above absolute zero, a few electrons in the valence band have enough thermal energy to jump through the small band gap and occupy the higher energy conduction band. The conduction band is thus becomes partially filled and the valence band becomes partially empty. The electrons in the conduction band are free to move. When electrical potential is applied to a semiconductor, it conducts a small amount of electricity. It is interesting to note that the electrical conductivity of semiconductor increases with the increasing temperature. This is because the number of electrons with sufficient energy so as to get promoted to the conduction band increases as the temperature increases. Thus, at higher temperatures, there are more mobile electrons in the conduction band and more vacancies in the valence band. Then at low temperature, in fact, semiconductors are insulators at low temperatures and conductors at high temperatures. Now, there are two types of semiconductors. First one is intrinsic semiconductor. Such a pure semiconductor material which has very low but finite electrical conductivity is called as intrinsic semiconductor. यहाँ पे कोई भी impurity नहीं रहेगा. Second type of semiconductor is the extrinsic semiconductor. The conductivity of a semiconductor can be increased by doping. The process of addition of minute quantity of impurities to a semiconductor to increase the conductivity is called doping. This doping is very important. The added impurity is called as dopant. A doped semiconductor having higher conductivity than pure intrinsic semiconductor is known as extrinsic semiconductor. conductors. Now this can be further divided into two types, that is N-type semiconductor and P-type semiconductors. N-type of semiconductor contains increased number of electrons in the conduction band. An N-type semiconductor is obtained by adding group 15 elements to the intrinsic semiconductors which belongs to group 14. Let us take an example of doping of silicon with phosphorus. Silicon has the crystal structure in which each silicon atom is linked tetrahedrally to 4 other silicon atoms. When small quantity of phosphorus is added to the pure silicon, the phosphorus atom occupies some vacant sites in the lattice in place of silicon atom. The overall crystal structure of silicon remains unchanged. 4 of the 5 valence electrons of phosphorus are utilized in bonding the closest to form silicon atom. Bonding the closest to 4 silicon atoms. Thus, phosphorus has 1 extra electron than needed for bonding. Therefore, silicon doped with phosphorus has more number of electrons in the conduction band than those in the conduction band in the pure silicon, as you can see in the figure. It is thus transparent that the conductivity of silicon doped with phosphorus is higher than that of the pure silicon. The electrons in the conduction band moves under the influence of an applied potential and conducts electricity. Because of the charged carriers are the increased number of electrons, silicon and germanium doped with group 15 elements such as phosphorus, arsenic, etc. is an N-type of semiconductor. A p-type of semiconductor is produced by doping a pure semiconductor material like silicon or germanium with an impurity of group 13 elements. These elements contains less number of valence electrons than that of the pure semiconductor. Let us take an example of pure silicon doped with boron. The boron atom occupies normal positions of some of the silicon atoms in the lattice. Boron atom has only 3 valence electrons. It does not have enough electrons to form bonds with its 4 silicon neighbors. Boron atom forms bonds with 3 silicon atoms only. The missing 4th electron creates a electron vacancy. It is called as hole, as you can see in the figure. A hole has a tendency to accept electron from its close vicinity. Thus, a hole behaves as if it has a positive charge. The electrons in the partially filled valence band moves under the influence of an applied potential. So, the holes moves in the opposite direction. Now, it is important to note that in N-type of semiconductors, silicon doped with phosphorus has more number of electrons. Thus, यहाँ electron in the partially filled conduction band is more. In P-type of semiconductors, such as silicon doped with boron has less electrons than needed for bonding, and thus the vacancies or hole is in the valence band. Magnetic properties of solids. Magnetic properties of solids can be understood easily in terms of classical picture of electron. You know, matter is made up of atoms which are made up of electrons and a nucleus. the electrons revolve around the nucleus in a circular orbit, just as the current carrying loop constitutes the magnetic dipole moment. Electrons moving in these orbits also constitutes magnetic dipole moment. Beside orbital motion, the electron also have spin motion along an axis similar to the earth rotation. The spin also constitutes a magnetic movement. Now, this magnetic movement in the nucleus, now the nucleus also has a magnetic movement, and this magnetic movement is negligible as compared to the movement of electron. The resultant magnetic moment is the vector sum of all the magnetic moment in an atom. This we have studied in the 11th standard. Now, this resultant magnetic moment of an atom depends upon the number of unpaired electrons in an atom. If an orbital contains one electron, the unbalanced spin exhibits magnetism. However, when the electrons are paired, their spin is balanced and no magnetic property is observed. On the basis of these magnetic properties of solids, they are classified into three major classes, that is diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic. The substance with all electrons paired are weakly repelled by the magnetic field. These substances are said to be diamagnetic. Pairing of electron balances the spin, hence cancels their magnetic movements. So here the dipole moment will be 0. So here some of the examples like nitrogen, fluorine, sodium chloride, water, TiO2, V2O5 and benzene are some of the examples of diamagnetic substances. Now paramagnetic solids. The substance with unpaired electrons are weakly attracted by the magnetic field. These substances are called as paramagnetic substances. The spinning of unpaired electron gives rise to the magnetic moment. The substance is attracted by the magnetic field because of this magnetic moment. It is important to understand that this substance exhibits magnetism in presence of the external magnetic field only. They lose magnetism when the external magnetic field is removed. मतलब जब तक वो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड के कांटेक्ट में रहेगा तब तक ये मैग्नेटिज्म शो करेगा. जैसे ही हम रिमूव करेंगे वो अपने नॉर्मल इसमें आ जाएगा. एग्जाम्पल ऑक्सीजन, copper ion, Fe ion are some of the examples of paramagnetic substances. Now ferromagnetism. The substance containing large number of unpaired electrons are attracted strongly by the magnetic field. These substances are said to be ferromagnetic. This substance can be permanently magnetized. They retain the magnetism even after the removal of external magnetic field. जैसे कि पहले भी हमने बोला कि आयन को यदि हम लोग मैग्नेट्स के साथ बहुत देर तक उसको कांटेक्ट में रखेंगे तो आयन ही एक मैग्नेट बन जाता है और यहाँ पे जो मैग्नेटिज्म इंड्यूस होता है वो परमानेंटली उसमें रह जाता है. एग्जाम्पल Fe, कोबाल्ट, निकल एक्सेट्रा. Now, so these are the some of the important magnetic properties of solid. Now let us summarize the topic. In this lecture, we have learnt how during the formation of crystal structure, certain defects are produced. These defects were point defects, vacancy defect, interstitial defects and impurity defect. We have also learnt how the classification of solids are done on the basis of electrical conductivity, that are the conductors, insulators and semiconductors. The presence of delocalized electrons make the metal a good conductor of electricity. we have also learned how the silicon acts as a semiconductor, how it acts in a pure form, and what happens by adding the impurities like arsenic and boron. On the basis of this, we have done two types of semiconductors, that is N-type and P-type. Now, the combination of N and P type of semiconductors are used in many type of solar cells. We have also learned how the classification of solid is done on the basis of magnetic properties. The electrons revolving around the nucleus also spins about its own axis. Hence, this electron act as a tiny magnets. If any orbital contains unpaired electron, then the spin is not balanced and the substance exhibits paramagnetism. If an orbital contains two electrons, the spin is balanced and the substance exhibits diamagnetism. The substance have more unpaired electrons, then the substance exhibits strong magnetism, that is called as ferromagnetism. So now we conclude this chapter of the solid states. Now go through these lectures. If you don't understand one time, go through it twice. Okay, and try to learn and try to solve the numericals. Hope you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.